Today on MuscleCar, the Camaro gets on its wheels, the Challenger gets more work done, and we got a surprise! Hey everybody, you're back in the shop with me and Jared. Now we got a lot of stuff going on, but we're gonna get back to our hardcore projects.
Oh yeah, like the Challenger here is gonna need some serious help in the structural department. And you're gonna get to see what that Camaro looks like on its wheels and tires.
You ready to do that, man?
What are we waiting on?
Let's go.
We've got most of the sheet metal work on the rear in pretty good shape. And since you saw it last, we put a new quarter on the driver's side, fixed the roof, and we ran a DA over the whole thing to sand off the primer and give it a uniform look. Now as you can see, we have some issues with the gaps in the front, but this problem goes way deeper than just a bad fender.
Yeah, you can tell in one time in its life, this baby was punched in the nose. We're gonna have to remove the fenders and the hood to fix the things underneath, like the inner fenders and the firewall. You can't repair the outer panels till these areas are taken care of. Something you guys gotta remember with a car this old, wherever the battery's located, you're gonna have rust. And we're gonna cut that out.
And with the inner fender out of the way, it's gonna make it a lot easier to fix the firewall. And we found more damage right here caused by a crash. Not only is it ugly, but it's gonna keep our fender from fitting right too. So we're gonna cut it out.
Flame on. Now you're probably wondering why I'm playing with fire. Well, when this thing was punched in the nose, there's a high spot here. And it's so high we can't beat it out because of the location. So what I'm gonna do is heat it up nice and cherry red. Even though the metal's gonna stretch, we're gonna fix this.
That's nice.
Get ready.
And action. This isn't good on Mom's kitchen towels. A dent like this took thousands of pounds of pressure because, you know, this car weighed around 4,000 pounds, and when it hits something, that's a ton of force. Actually, 2 tons of force. And all we have is a 2-pound hammer, so sometimes you gotta superheat the metal so it's a little easier to work with. All right, with everything out of the way, now's the best time to turn our attention to fixing the firewall area. And since we're not really worried about a factory-looking restoration, we're gonna clean this up by fixing the rust and getting rid of these factory holes. That's gonna give us a really killer look in the engine compartment. Let's see what's underneath, shall we? More rust, yay! Using metal from around this shop, we'll recreate the pieces we can't save.
The best way to get rid of the larger holes is make a patch panel. Then, replace the area with the new piece.
Need some theme music. Bum 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 bum. Okay, let off.
Check it out, got a tip for you. We're gonna fill all these little holes, right? You take a piece of aluminum or copper, and when you weld on it, it doesn't stick to the copper, but it'll stick to the steel.
Hit it, Maestro.
Let's get the rest of them.
Yeah. Not for nothing, all the holes are gone.
And it's about time. We're finally ready to move on to some new sheet metal. We got rid of all the unnecessary holes and kept the ones we're going to use. So let's get to it.
Inner fender wells?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Well, you have masterful penmanship, Mr. Lou. Sounded really nice, Lou.
Bring in the fender cam.
Sweet. When you come back. We knew this thing was hurt, but we didn't know how much.
There might be some real crazy fabrication ahead.
What do you think? If you had to make an educated guess, do we need to pull the frame on it?
I'm looking for a spot that's got damage. There's got to be. Somewhere in this car.
It has to be buckled.
There's a dip here and then there's a high here.
And then also you can see where these two pieces separated here. When this went in, you know, that pulled down. Everything's cause and effect on a car like that.
This ain't good.
All right, now this is the reason for test fitting. We know this thing had been damaged, but now it's pretty apparent it's been jumped. And we know this because the gaps at the tops of the fenders on both sides is tight, and at the bottom, it's huge. So, would lead me to believe this thing's landed on its nose at one point in its life.
Another thing that leads us to believe that this thing has seen the kind of airtime that Tony Hawk would be proud of, you got a dent right up in here. And the door is actually rolled under the fender. Now over here, probably is what happened was the tire was driven up into the fender, causing all this damage.
Looks like it's time for Plan B.
Oh yeah.
All right, here's the deal. We have figured out this thing's done some aerobatic maneuvers at some point in time. So to fix it, we got to get the nose back down. And to do that, we're going to utilize the Z-joint in this area, and it's actually going to make it stronger than stock. I'll mark out the cuts and then match it up on the other side.
Because what I'm going to do is cut a couple pieces in one by one so we can make a brace for the front subframe.
Tell me when you're crappy.
I'm crappy.
Okay, let's go. There, that should do it.
Now the reason why you want to put this brace in is so when you cut the frame rails, everything stays nice and square and you don't have any problems.
We got to get the nose down, so we're going to cut the frame. We chose a Z-cut because it'll give us more surface area to weld when we put this thing back together. Before we finish the frame, we're gonna hang these new fenders from Goodmark to make sure that all of our body lines are straight. Now these are really cool because they're prototypes. And yeah, we got them because we're on TV. But don't worry, the real ones should be available soon, so keep checking your part suppliers.
Yeah, at least we don't have to repair this piece of garbage.
That is true, but we do have to worry about a couple things that you guys at home don't, like transplanting this headlight area from our old fender to our new one.
Piece of cake. To make our patches, I'll cut out pieces from an extra frame rail.
Lou,
Yeah.
let's see how it fits. Keep your fingers crossed. All right, man, if we can go ahead and throw all the shims and all the bolts in and just get it where it belongs.
Be golden.
Yeah, and we can start tacking the frame in place.
Cool. There you go.
Yeah, it's definitely better. It's better, but how much better?
Now, what we're doing here is you saw us make the Z cut. Then I'm gonna take this plate, put it over the weld like that, clamp it, and then I'll weld all these little holes in and weld it all the way around. This thing will be so strong it won't even be funny. Voila.
I'm gonna sand all the primer out the front fenders just like I did in the back for several reasons. One, it's gonna give me a better line of sight on all of my body lines. 2, I'm gonna do it when I get to bodywork anyway, and plus, it just looks cool. I got the good feeling, man, the good vibration.
Nah, everything fits like it's supposed to, and it looks good.
It does, it looks great.
You know why? Because nothing's out of whack.
Nothing's whacked.
Because it's just like building a house. If your foundation's out of whack, the house is out of whack. Our frame was out of whack. It's straight now. It's no longer in whack. It's out of whack.
Nothing's wacky.
Coming up, this week's MuscleCar Flashback.
Tricky Dick wasn't the only one fighting a war in 1970. The Big Three were fighting their own war for years when Plymouth launched a massive offensive with the CUDA, and then they dropped the atomic bomb by adding the Hemi.
MuscleCar Flashback. This week, the 70 Dodge 426 Hemi CUDA.
In the 60s, Ford and GM had the pony car market cornered with their wildly popular Mustangs and Camaros.
But by 1970, Chrysler wanted a piece of the action. So to get it, they uncorked a serious can of whoop-ass called the Hemi CUDA.
Built on Plymouth's macho E-body, the 70 Barracuda sports a thin front bumper, fog lamps, and a deep-set grille.
A shaker scoop in the long pin hood lets the CUDA gulp massive amounts of cold air.
Its profile is clean, with rally wheels wrapped in fat F60 tread, fishgill rocker moldings, and of course, those flat black hockey stick stripes.
Out back, the CUDA sported a short deck, recessed taillights, and that four-letter word that stands for one of the fastest, rarest, and coolest muscle cars ever built.
Wider, longer, and stronger to hold the massive Hemi. The CUDA is an adrenaline rush not available in mere mortal muscle cars.
Plymouth's smallest car got its biggest engine. Under the shaker hood, the legendary big bore 426 Street Hemi.
2 650 Carter carbs, a dual-plane aluminum intake, and a hydraulic cam help to generate 425 horse and 490 foot-pounds of torque. That's according to the factory. In reality, the Hemi makes 500 plus horsepower.
The high-performance theme carries over inside with optional high-back leather buckets, sports steering wheel, padded dash, rally gauges with 150-mile-an-hour speedo, and CUDA door badges.
A unique Hurst pistol grip 4-speed just begs you to punish the tires.
The Hemi, a Dana 60 and a 4-speed, were good for 13s in the quarter at 107 miles an hour.
It was definitely a kick-ass ride, but the CUDA wasn't cheap. The Hemi option added a whopping $1,227 to the base price, bringing the total to over $4,000. That's big bucks in 1970.
As a result, Plymouth only built 666 Hemi CUDAs in 1970, and only 14 of them were convertible.
That low production, a rakish design, and America's most infamous V8 combined to drive demand.
Recently, a restored drop-top Hemi sold for over $1 million, establishing this awesome Mopar as the most valuable muscle car on the planet. Now that we've got that Challenger looking good, we got one more thing that we got to do today, and that's get this Camaro on its wheels. Now we called Curry Enterprises for our 9-inch Ford housing for our crate Camaro. The beautiful thing about this is new housing, new center section, new axles. All you gotta do is call them. Bolts right in. Now normally Camaros were monoleaf, but we're using these multi-leaf springs from Detroit Speed. The cool thing about them, they lower the car 2 inches. Now I know some of you guys are probably wondering, why did I mount the front of the leaf springs first? Real simple reason. It makes it easier. You don't have to wrestle with the leaf springs bolted to the rear end. You just have to wrestle with the rear end.
Stay.
You got a unibody car, right? That thing's flexing all over the place when you're stabbing it. What you do is put in a set of these babies. Frame connectors. Ties the front subframe to the rear subframe. Makes it nice and rigid. Bolt-in frame connectors are cool, but I really prefer to weld mine in. The reason why I'm grinding that primer off the car is to get a nice clean surface to weld to.
Take those sparks like a man. Like a man.
You're gonna have to do a little modification on these frame connectors to get them in there where they need to be. But that's okay, because in the long run, it's well worth it. B-I-N-G-O. She's in?
Oh, hey, Lou. Not to suggest anything, but...
Hey, quit lollygagging. I'm almost done here. Get the bag.
Hey guys, our Crate Camaro's gonna have a wicked stance in these classic looking billets from Wheel of Antiques. They're wrapped in G-Force TAs from BFG. And personally, I think the tread pattern's ass kicked.
Man, I am liking it. The body's good, the engine's good. I'm liking it, man. It's going together.
Yeah, this thing is looking so tough, and it's only gonna get better as time goes on. And you guys, if you're anything like me, you're probably wishing this sucker was filling a spot in your garage
But it's not going to your garage now, is it? You know why? Because it's going to one of you guys out there. That's right, we're gonna give this thing away.
Well, you heard him, and on that note, I'm gonna go home and fill my garage floor with tears. I wish I had it.
I don't blame you. Later.
See you guys later.